Shabbat Shalom from Temple Concord. This week our Torah portion has a fascinating gap in it. It's not an 18-minute gap made famous, about 40 years ago, but it's a 38-year gap actually, or give or take about 38 years, maybe 36 years. The Torah portions up to now have been telling the story of the Israelites moving in the wilderness, in the Exodus period. So it began with crossing the sea and then getting the commandments and the Torah at Sinai and moving in and around the wilderness. And this week at Chukat, we pick up at a point where 38 years have elapsed and we're nearing the end. We're at the last couple of years of the experience in the wilderness. And nothing is mentioned of that huge gap. At one point in this week's Torah portion, we reach the point where Aaron, the great leader, dies. And so we know that the leadership has aged tremendously, but we have no idea what happened in those intervening years. Tradition's just left empty. Now, Midrash and the rabbis figure out all sorts of reasons to fill in for that empty time. And the truth is, if any of us have prepared a resume, and we think back through our own lives, almost all of us have a gap between something somewhere, whether it's between schooling and a job, or between one job and another job. And we wrestle with, how do we fill this? How do we explain it? And certainly when I've interviewed potential employees or potential people for the synagogue, and we've seen a gap, we always ask about it. It's strange, though. If our tradition has this gap, and we generally accept it, why shouldn't we accept the fact that we all have gaps in our lives? In reality, we all do. There are moments when we're more engaged, and moments when we're on autopilot. There are times when we're deeply involved in all sorts of things, and then we pull back. So for example, when our kids are young, we're deeply engaged in the PTO or the PTA or the parents group at the school. We know what's going on in the school district. We know all of those events. And then our kids move on, and we do too. And though we might still be paying our taxes, hopefully we're still paying our taxes to support the schools, and we may vote in the school board elections, we sort of have a gap in terms of our involvement. And we're okay with it. We accept that. So why not accept it here? The truth is, our tradition says our story is imperfect just as we are. And our story has gaps, places where we don't know all of the events just as our lives do. When we think back of the lives of our parents or our grandparents, we'd like to know how their lives progressed from one stage to the next, but we know that there are pieces that are missing. There are pieces that we just don't know. And Torah, in going forward and continuing the story, I think gives us a great model to just accept the fact that there are gaps and to keep moving forward and keep searching for holiness and keep pursuing the promised land that is each of our own individual goals and our individual dreams. I hope you'll join us this Friday night. We have no gap at all. In fact, we have Shabbat services Friday evening, a very special Shabbat service. We'll be joining together with the members of Temple Adath and of Congregation Beth Shalom. Services will take place at Temple Adath. Barbecue begins around 6:15, and then the services around 7:30. Promises to be a wonderful evening celebrating the coming together of the three synagogues. We'll also be celebrating the 4th of July, which is just a few days after Shabbat. So I hope you can join us. Please RSVP to the office if you haven't already. We'd love to see you there. Saturday morning, July 1st, we have Shabbat services at 11, preceded, of course, by Torah study and text study. The following week, we're closed in the middle of the week for the 4th of July. I hope you go out and celebrate America, but even more, I hope you find a way to encourage others to be involved in this great American experiment. We celebrate our independence and our ability to chart our own courses. And that means all of us, you and I together, need to be involved in doing that. So don't let there be a gap in your involvement and your participation. Use this 4th of July as motivation to go work harder for our country. Surely we can agree that our country needs more involvement from all of us. So I hope you'll join us then. Summer hours in the office begin this week, which means our office closes around 3 o'clock each day. But as always, I'm available anytime, and the cantor as well. And I hope that these first weeks of summer greet you with warmth and beauty and a chance to refresh and renew and enjoy time outdoors. Shabbat Shalom for now. Look forward to seeing you at the temple.